We've all seen the widely reported theft and fraud case involving Sikh Youth UK and its members. In this video, we'll explore the background and motivations leading up to the case, followed by a detailed account of how Sikh Youth UK utilised funds. We'll present the facts, allowing you to decide whether this was justice against criminals or a political witch hunt. Following the 2016 Brexit vote, Britain faced economic uncertainty and urgently sought trade deals outside the EU. It quickly turned to its former colonial connection, India, with its rapidly growing economy. Just months after Brexit, then Prime Minister Theresa May visited Modi in Delhi to initiate discussions and establish a roadmap for a free trade agreement. Sensing the UK's desperation, Modi took the opportunity to voice his long-standing concerns about dissident Sikhs in the UK. Since the 1980s, India has strongly despised the fact that UK-based Sikhs have been openly highlighting human rights abuses in India, seemingly without any consequences from the British government.
India is to raise Sikh radicalism with the United Kingdom. Several radical pro-Khalistan Sikh groups are on ISI payrolls and they're trying to foment trouble during the Prime Minister's visit. Intelligence agencies have already alerted the government that radical Sikh outfits are planning to hold massive protests during the Prime Minister's visit to the United Kingdom that begins from today.
Testing Britain's newly found commitment to India, Modi seized the opportunity to arrest and detain prominent British human rights blogger Jagta Singh Johal. Johal was a leading voice in Sikh human rights, who spent 10 years researching and documenting about atrocities committed by the Indian state. He was now arrested in India with no British intervention or consular support. The symbolic arrest is met with huge celebrations in right-wing Indian politics as it signals a new age for a dominant India who is now seen to be able to suppress its overseas critics. Following the arrest of Jagta Singh Johal, Kuldeep Singh Lihal, known as Deepa from Sikh Youth UK, spearheaded the nationwide #FreeJaggiNow campaign, organising the distribution of thousands of flyers, awareness roadshows, media campaigns, and protests to highlight Johal's torture and detention. The campaign gained momentum, attracting the support of celebrities such as Diljit Dosanjh, whom Deepa had personally contacted. Under further brutal torture, Jagta is forced into signing confessions. He is shown photographs of UK Sikh activists, including Deepa. It is important to note the photos shown to Jagta of UK nationals were taken covertly from within the UK, in areas such as shopping malls. Seeking to test whether Britain would prove a reliable long-term partner, India presents fabricated evidence to the British government against other British Sikh activists they wish to silence. Unsubstantiated claims are made of their involvement in international terrorism and extremism, relying on coerced confessions they claimed they had extracted from Jagta. Britain is now at political crossroads. The ball is now firmly in Britain's court. Will Britain prioritise the benefits of a lucrative future trade deal with India, or will it defend the rights of an innocent British blogger being tortured and arbitrarily detained, risking its relationship with Modi? Britain's answer was very clear when on the early hours of the 18th of September, 2018, Operation Takuma is launched with the doors of 5 prominent Sikh activists are smashed by counter-terrorism police. In an official tweet, the West Midlands Counter-Terrorism Unit state that these raids were on behalf of India, stating they were conducted based on allegations of extremist activity against India. Dozens of laptops, mobile phones, Khalistan literature, cash and material relating to the #FreeJaggiNow campaign is seized by police. This is where Operation Takuma is revealed for what it truly is. Within days of the raids, highly classified information held by the West Midlands Counter-Terrorism Unit regarding those individuals raided were leaked to none other than the national Indian press.
West Midlands counter-terrorism officers went to addresses in Coventry, Leicester and Birmingham. No one's been arrested. Birmingham. No one's been arrested. And Birmingham. No one's been arrested.
It's important to note that at this point, no one had been charged, and nothing had been made public. So how did the Indian press know about Kuldeep Lehal's house being raided before he had even been arrested? The Indian article states that these raids were seen as an outcome of diplomatic pressure created by Indian agencies on Britain. It is important to note that it is very rare for counter-terrorism police to conduct dawn raids on 5 properties and possess 5 search warrants without having any arrest warrants. Typically, the police build a case around an individual and issue both search and arrest warrants simultaneously. The only exception might be if they believe there is an immediate threat that needs to be neutralized. As we now know, there was no threat at all. Therefore, was the urgency politically motivated? Were these raids timed to demonstrate to the Indian government that Britain was responding swiftly to their demands?
With a constituent, we take any allegation of torture very seriously, as indeed would the Indian government. It is completely unconstitutional, it is offensive to the British government, and we will work very closely to investigate and of course will take extreme action if a British citizen is being tortured.
On one hand, we were seeing British ministers giving lip service in Parliament, promising action to stop the torture of Jagtar Johal. But behind the scenes, British agencies were planning the opposite. They were intent to help India to substantiate the allegations against Johal. This is the actual indictment of Operation Takuma. You can see Johal's name appears here. This is unequivocal proof that Operation Takuma's real agenda was to help India build a criminal case around Johal. After revelations emerged that West Midlands police had shared details of Sikh activists with India and were involved in joint efforts to disrupt lawful Sikh activism, Deepa from Sikh Youth UK led a movement to ban police recruitment stalls from all Sikh spaces. This non-engagement protest against the police was supported by major Sikh organisations. However, as the protests grew more emotionally charged, Deepa himself became a target for the authorities. Had taking on the police become a step too far? As the anti-police protests caught the attention of the mainstream press, the police was left embarrassed and unable to answer the community's concerns, which was quite simple: is West Midlands Police conducting politically motivated operations on behalf of India? Unable to give an answer as the facts were stacked against them, West Midlands Police resorted to employing Police Prevent strategy against Deepa. Prevent strategy is a very controversial police program which was originally forged by UK police to target Islamic extremists in the aftermath of 9/11. These tactics aim to disrupt every aspect of the individual's daily lives, overwhelming them with numerous civil and criminal cases. They also target people close to the individual, including family and associates. The intent is to leave them isolated, exhausted and demoralized, ultimately diminishing their motivation to pursue their cause. Deepa was put in the same category as terrorists, as this paved the way for the police to justify spending hundreds of thousands of pounds to disrupt his activism on behest of Indian government and also their own personal vendetta against him. It is now 6 months into Operation Takuma. After months of analysing thousands of communications, numerous laptops and financial transactions, the police were unable to find any evidence to support India's claims of terrorism in the Punjab. Desperate to salvage something from Operation Takuma, after the huge amount of resources spent and mounting pressure from India, the police turned their attention to charges unrelated to the alleged terrorism in Punjab. Could they secure convictions against Sikh activists on other grounds? Given that they had access to their devices and bank accounts, could they find any new evidence in all this data? The police meticulously analysed every single video, message, and image on Deepa's phone, including content from WhatsApp, Instagram, YouTube, and other platforms. There were tens of thousands of videos and images, and they painstakingly reviewed each one, employing their own Punjabi-speaking analysts, hoping they could find some criminality. Here you can see evidence presented of messages exchanged between Deepa and another Singh. The police analysed the whole conversation with the hope to form a hate crime charge that they can attribute to Deepa. This is where the police analyses every scene and all the lyrics to the Sikh Youth music video on YouTube called Bad La. Here they are translating speeches of Sant Jarnail Singh Ji, uploaded on the Sikh Youth YouTube channel. Once again, another example of a harmless personal photo on Deepa's phone, showing lads joking around. Out of sheer desperation, the police are clutching at straws, trying to find any possible criminality they can attribute to their hand gestures. The level of detail the police used to scrutinise every small detail is astonishing, and the data files they produced are absolutely enormous. It's now 8 months into the investigation. Trying to pursue several lines of prosecution, for example, promoting terrorism, hate crimes, vigilante crimes, the police failed to secure any evidence, and these were all rejected by the CPS. The costs so far are estimated at over £2 million, and the police have nothing to show for it. It would now appear that the police have hit a brick wall with Operation Takuma. At the last throw of the dice, the police involved the Charities Commission. On November 15, 2018, the Commission opened a statutory inquiry into Sikh Youth UK and exercised its powers under Section 52 of the Charities Act 2011 to obtain bank transactions. It's important to note the person heading the Charities Commission at this time was none other than William Shawcross, the same person who, after leaving his position at the Charities Commission, went on to becoming an advisor to the government and issued warnings of pro-Khalistan extremism emerging from UK's Sikh community. The problem faced by the Charity Commission was that Sikh Youth UK was not a registered charity. It had no charitable status. The project was essentially run by Deepa without any formal structure, constitution, paperwork, or trustees. As a result, the Charity Commission resorted to sending entrapment emails, posing innocently in seeking to establish correspondence and rapport with Sikh Youth UK. The true agenda, however, was to identify the key individuals involved before the operation commenced. The Charity Commission quickly realised that the project's finances were not in Deepa's name. Due to Deepa's lack of credit history stemming from his past, he had no bank account in his name. Hence his sister, Raj Binder Kaur, held the Sikh Youth UK financials in her name instead. Once again, Operation Takuma faced a setback. Till now, they were unable to build a case against Jagta Johal or the 5 other Sikhs they had raided, and now it seemed unlikely they could pursue a financial case against Deepa. However, this did not deter them. Determined to criminalise and defame Deepa and Sikh Youth UK, they were willing to target Deepa's sister, knowing full well she had zero involvement in Sikh activism. Who was Raj Binder Kaur? She was Deepa's eldest sister, in her 50s, who lived a modest, frugal and simple life alone in Birmingham. Well known in the local Gurudwaras, she was often seen quietly helping with seva. She had never been arrested and was not involved in any form of Sikh activism. She had worked her whole life and was very close with her 4 siblings, nieces and nephews. Raj Binder had suffered from mental health issues for many years, which caused her to be socially secluded and introverted. When Deepa embraced the Sikh faith, she provided him with a home and support, gradually growing fond of his dedication to his charity work. In the early hours of July 3, 2019, approximately 10 months after the initial round of raids, it was now Raj Binder's turn to be raided. Her house was searched and she was arrested alongside her brother, Deepa. Employing tactics of shock and awe, highly trained and manipulative counter-terrorism officers interrogated her relentlessly for 4 sessions, each time leaving her mentally and emotionally shattered. This was the first time Raj had ever been arrested. She is a vulnerable woman in her 50s. She faced a barrage of questions regarding the operations of Sikh Youth UK, to which she had no answers, as she had never been involved. She was questioned about the Free Jaggi Now campaign and Khalistan literature subjects with which she had no connection. Here she is being asked who Jaggi Johal is. One must question what this would have to do with a theft case. Quickly realizing that Raj had no experience of bookkeeping, no idea about complex charity accounting, charity law, they were able to manipulate the financial situation. Here you can pause and read a small snippet of her interview. You will see she is crying all the way through. She is being manipulated about money spent on children's trip to Alton Towers, which she paid for from her personal credit card. The trip was for 300 children from Smethwick GNG Gurdwara as part of Sikh Youth Summer Camp. She is also being manipulated about spending money on rape alarms, which were given free to Sikh females at universities. Who is Sikh Youth UK? Founded in 2013 by Deepa, Sikh Youth UK initially organised a handful of projects and events. However, as demand for awareness around grooming and political activism grew within the community, by 2018, Sikh Youth had expanded significantly. It employed multiple members, hosted large events usually every month, conducted numerous university tours, provided victim support across the UK, and much more. How was Sikh Youth funded? Sikh Youth was initially funded in 2013 by Deepa, with financial support from his family, particularly Raj and the other siblings, 1 brother and 2 sisters. In the initial years, projects were carried out at a measured pace. However, as cases of sexual grooming increased and political activism became a central focus following the arrest of Jagta Johal, Deepa began working tirelessly, sometimes organising multiple events within a single week. Expenses also rose significantly, as projects were no longer planned in advance, but instead became more spontaneous, responding to the evolving political climate affecting the community. This is when people in the community started to recognise the work done and began to contribute financially. Here, we present the costs by year. Please note that these figures are close estimates, except for 2018, which reflects actual costs independently audited by an accountant. Where did this £600,000 funding come from? Approximately £235,000 was contributed by the Lee Hall family. This is independent of his sister, Raj Binder Kaur, who put in £72,000 alone. Around £250,000 was provided by close associates within the Sikh Youth members, primarily Sikh business people, who have a strong rapport with Deepa and share a commitment to the Sikh Youth project. An additional £44,000 was raised through public appeals. So how did they build a theft case on Raj Binder Kaur? Throughout the history of Sikh Youth, projects were often funded up front by the Lee Hall family or alongside other contributors, who would bear the majority of the initial costs. For instance, films produced by the organisation could cost up to £20,000, with expenses for cameramen, actors, and editing needing to be paid in advance. The original contributor would then be fully or partially reimbursed at a later date, as sales from CDs and DVDs came in. As a result, there was a consistent pattern of money flowing in and out of personal accounts. Here, we present Raj Binder's savings account records from 2014 to 2016. During this period, the entire savings were withdrawn in cash and provided to Sikh Youth UK. There are countless witnesses across Birmingham, such as those involved in hiring football pitches, cameramen, printers, banner makers, T-shirt producers, and many more businesses who can confirm that Deepa would only make payments in cash. As he did not have a bank card and was the main operator of Sikh Youth UK, Project expenses were almost always settled in cash. Here, we present the total amount Raj contributed to Sikh Youth up to 2019. Between 2014 and 2016, she contributed £60,000. Between 2017 and 2018, she provided a further £12,000. It is important to note that this period marked a peak in Sikh youth activism, with constant protests, campaigns, and events. During this time, Raj began covering expenses on her personal credit cards. Prior to the creation of Sikh Youth, Raj had no debt and lived very modestly. She had a stable job, her own house, which was purchased in 2003 for £60,000. She drove the same modest 1997 Nissan Micra for 15 years. She had built up significant savings over the years. The prosecution found no evidence of a lavish lifestyle. There were no receipts for dining out, luxury clothing, or holidays. Again with Deepa, there were no evidence of any lavish spending. He did not own a car, a handful of clothes, and a mobile phone was his few possessions. The house at 223 Nineveh Road, Handsworth, where Raj lived with Deepa, provides further evidence of their dedication. These are actual police images submitted as evidence. The house is filled with Sikh Youth campaign flyers, banners, and T-shirts, which has taken up all their living space. There is no indication of a lavish lifestyle or proceeds of crime. If anything, it is clear that they sacrificed their living conditions and personal comfort for the benefit of the community. Here you can see police interview evidence of where Raj takes out a loan for the Sikh Youth production CD called Izzat. We have demonstrated how Sikh Youth was funded, including how personal funds were contributed towards projects and media productions. Raj, in particular, used her own money to initiate many projects with the expectation of reimbursement as sales allowed. We also highlighted that Sikh Youth was becoming over-ambitious, driven by the momentum of political campaigns. By 2018, they were overspending, and funds that should have been used to reimburse Raj were being diverted to prioritize future campaigns. Consequently, Raj had to resort to credit cards and loans to cover payments. Despite all the good work being done and the personal funds Raj had invested, how did the police manage to build a case of theft against her? It was undoubtedly a challenging task. Under UK law, theft is defined as the dishonest act of taking another person's property with the intention of permanently depriving them of it. How could Raj be accused of theft when she had contributed more to the project than she had taken? This is where the police had to adopt a novel approach. As previously mentioned in the video, they enlisted the involvement of the Charity Commission. Their objective was to establish that Sikh Youth was functioning as a charity, thereby asserting that any funds received for charitable purposes could not be used for personal reimbursement. Here we see, after an exhausting 8 hours of interviews, the police still appear to be attempting to entrap Raj, trying to lead her into making statements that suggest she has knowledge of charity law and operations. It would have been clear from the outset that she had no understanding of charity protocols. Her responses make it evident that she lacked any knowledge of such procedures. The police took advantage of this situation, even though they would have been well aware of the good work done by Sikh Youth and understood that Raj was an unwilling participant in the operation. She was an honest woman with a clean record, having never been arrested in her entire life. Despite all of this, they were still prepared to apply charity law against someone who had no knowledge or training in this area. In December 2017, Sikh Channel made a public appeal for funds to support 5 Sikh organisations, including Sikh Youth UK. This appeal raised precisely £31,071.66 for Sikh Youth UK. The funds were intended to be used by them to raise awareness about sexual grooming and to cover the costs of employing a support worker to assist with related cases. This is the exact amount the police claimed was in fact stolen by Raj. On December 15, 2017, the channel confirmed to Deepa that these funds would be transferred shortly. Based on the anticipated amount, Deepa hired a support worker, expanded his sexual awareness programs, and arranged a tour from Southampton to Scotland to showcase his work across the country. However, by January 2018, there was still no sign of the money from Sikh Channel, as the transfer was delayed for reasons unknown to Deepa. Having committed to the causes mentioned on television and eager to execute them in a timely manner, he resorted, reluctantly, to kickstarting the projects by using cash raised from his stalls, which had been designated for his sister to pay off debts for the previous media productions. He has now paid for hotels for support workers, petrol, merchandise and leaflets for this tour in cash.
Just officials, the Sikh Youth Roadshow begins. We are in Edinburgh at the moment.
Our team will be starting the roadshow from Scotland to Southampton for 7 days.
We'll be at Edinburgh Gurdwara tonight doing a talk. This week is Sexual Abuse and Sexual Violence Awareness Week, so our team's going to be doing awareness throughout the country to the whole Sikh community, raising as much awareness as we can. This is the first update for the week, and I'll just keep tuning in if you can get to your local Gurdwara where we're doing the talks. Would be appreciated. Let your family and friends know at the same time. So I'm just about to go and do the live talk on dangers in modern society. We'll be at Warrington today, obviously.
Much stuff here, so giving away all free, all the DVDs and stuff like that, and the literature, the hashtag.
Eager to demonstrate to the community that he was fully committed to addressing the issue of sexual grooming, as promised on the Sikh Channel, Deepa organised and ran a nationwide grooming awareness roadshow, spanning from Scotland to Southampton. On February 2, 2018, the funds from the Sikh Channel finally arrived. However, by this time, the expenses for the roadshow had already been paid for before the money had arrived. This is what transpired immediately after the funds arrived from the Sikh Channel. Please note that this diagram is actual police evidence. We have only omitted the names of the social workers who were paid by Sikh Youth. However, the amounts they received are still visible. First, on the left side, you can see that Raj transferred £15,000 into her Lloyds account. This amount was intended to cover her expenses, as previously explained. On the right side of the diagram, £15,015 is shown, representing payments made to Sikh Youth support workers and other Sikh Youth expenses, including reimbursements to those who had previously funded various initiatives. The police's claim is that this amount, the full amount, £31,071.66, which was received from the Sikh Channel, was stolen by Raj. The money was divided between two accounts, both registered in Raj's name and linked to her address, with no attempt on her part to conceal this, hide her identity, or cover her tracks. Although the funds were used to support both previous and current Sikh Youth projects, as well as to pay Sikh Youth workers, the fact remained that the initial transfer was made to Raj's personal accounts. So why was this classed as theft? This is because the Sikh Channel funds were raised from a public TV appeal, therefore this money is classed as ring-fenced charity funds. Ring-fenced charity funds refer to money that has been specifically set aside for a particular charitable purpose and must not be used for anything else. These funds are legally protected and can only be spent on activities directly related to the charitable objective for which they were raised. This means that ring-fenced funds cannot be diverted to cover expenses, personal costs, or even other charitable projects that are not specified within the original purpose. Transferring ring-fenced charity funds to personal accounts is prohibited, even if there is an intention to use the money for charitable purposes. Doing so breaches charity law and the regulations set out by bodies like the Charity Commission. We will now demonstrate that, although Raj was technically found guilty of charity theft, this was, in fact, a politically motivated witch hunt intended to defame her and Sikh Youth UK. Had the Sikh Channel funds arrived on time and been used to fund the roadshow, the cash could then have been used to reimburse Raj. This would have led to exactly the same outcome, without Raj being convicted of theft. This is an important point to reiterate. Had the funds been utilised in the opposite manner, the community and Raj would have received exactly the same benefit. The overall outcome would have been identical, with the only difference being that Raj would not have been convicted of theft. This demonstrates that the case hinged purely on technicalities. Many people watching this will be in disbelief that such a simple case of mismanagement could lead to a Crown Court theft case. This kind of situation could easily occur in hundreds of charities and organisations, yet we do not see numerous similar theft cases reported in the media. After all, how can there be smoke without fire? Between 2018 and 2022, the Charity Commission opened 488 statutory inquiries. It is worth noting that some of these involved serious allegations, including funding links to organisations such as ISIS. Yet, none of these cases resulted in proceedings in Crown Court, except for the case involving Sikh Youth UK. It is also important to remember that Sikh Youth UK was not a registered charity. The funds transferred from the Sikh channel marked the first time in the organisation's history that it had received publicly raised charitable funds. How was Raj expected to know that these funds differed from previous donations and were required to be ring-fenced? Let's examine how other charities have been investigated in contrast to the treatment Sikh Youth UK received. In 2013, the Charity Commission opened a statutory inquiry into Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangh, known as HSS UK, amid allegations that £2 million raised in the UK was funding the far-right paramilitary group Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh, known as RSS, in India. Throughout the inquiry, the Commission established cooperative relations with HSS trustees. To verify the fund's final destination, they applied for visas to conduct an inspection in India. The visas were denied by the Indian government. Notably, no police involvement occurred. No HSS UK representatives were arrested under terrorism charges, their homes were not raided, and they were not subjected to media defamation. Despite an inability to trace the substantial £2 million and the suspicious cancellation of their visas, the Commission chose not to pursue further action, nor involve counter-terrorism police. Now, let's examine the contrast in how the Charity Commission treated Sikh Youth UK. Firstly, they did not attempt to establish a working relationship with Sikh youth members, nor did they acknowledge the positive work undertaken by the group or aim to guide them toward registration and improved compliance. Instead, they sent 3 brief, seemingly entrapment-focused emails before promptly passing the case to counter-terrorism police, effectively washing their hands of it. In most cases, the Charity Commission initially provides guidance and support to help charities strengthen their internal controls, avoiding the need to impose special measures. Many within the Sikh community may be familiar with Gurudwaras placed under special measures due to concerns over financial mismanagement. Typically, the Charity Commission grants up to 12 months for bookkeeping practices to be improved and for any issues of financial mismanagement to be resolved. This period allows organisations the opportunity to assess whether misconduct has occurred, seek professional advice, and recover or correct any outstanding funds. However, no such opportunity was granted to Sikh youth. What followed was a rapid escalation, from emails to dawn raids, to public defamation, and eventually to Crown Court proceedings, all without any genuine attempt to collaborate with the organisation. Deepa and Raj were arrested and charged in 2019, with the case eventually reaching Crown Court in 2024. Over the 5 years leading up to the trial, the case was listed and adjourned 7 times, with 4 different judges appointed and then replaced. Notably, in 2023, one judge reviewing the case expressed astonishment that it had progressed this far, remarking that it should have been resolved out of court years prior. However, within minutes of this statement, the judge was informed that the case was considered to be in the public interest. Legal cases are typically pursued to deliver justice to victims of a crime. Given that the costs of prosecuting criminal cases can sometimes run into millions of pounds, the Crown Prosecution Service, CPS, must ensure that pursuing a case is justified. In this instance, however, there was no victim and no victim report filed against Sikh Youth UK. Theoretically, if there had been a victim, it would have been the Sikh community who donated to Sikh Youth UK. However, the community stood firmly in support of the organisation. In 2019, upon learning of the arrests, hundreds of major Sikh temples and organizations issued letters of support for Deepa and Raj, affirming their unwavering trust in Sikh Youth UK's conduct. They asserted that any financial mismanagement was unintentional and emphasized that legal proceedings were not in the Sikh community's best interests. This is a letter from Gurudwara Singh Sabha, Southall, the largest Sikh temple outside of India.
We join our colleagues from Gurudwaras and Sikh institutions across the UK in expressing our concerns about the manner in which the West Midlands Counter-Terrorism Unit have conducted their inquiries. Many in the Sikh community are alarmed at what appears to be a coordinated attempt to discredit and defame the organisation.
At this point, it is clear that it was a fragile case hinged on bookkeeping errors. With no victim seeking justice, the risk of alienating the Sikh community, and the costs amounting to thousands of pounds in legal fees to bring this to Crown Court, under usual circumstances, this case would have been dismissed or settled out of court. However, as the case was deemed in the public interest, the CPS, going against typical thresholds, proceeded to list the case in Crown Court. The term public interest refers to a little-known and somewhat obscure criterion, often misused to silence political dissent. It can serve as a tool within the police's prevent strategy, allowing cases that would not normally justify a Crown Court hearing to be pursued. This criterion is frequently politically motivated and tends to be accompanied by heightened media coverage. This approach was evident in the case of Kaur and Lee Hall versus Regina, where the decision to elevate it as a matter of public interest became a pivotal factor in taking it to Crown Court. From the moment Raj and Deepa were arrested in 2019 through to their Crown Court case, this matter attracted significant mainstream media coverage. Considering that Sikh Youth is essentially a one-person operation, it raises questions as to why, amidst so many other global issues, this case gained such prominent media attention. Let's take a moment to put this case into perspective. Here we have Naomi Campbell, one of the world's most recognizable figures. The Charity Commission found that her charity, which aimed to support some of the world's poorest communities, allocated only 8.5% of the £4.8 million raised.
More on this. Aisha, what did this investigation find?
Well, the Charity Commission found that there was misconduct and mismanagement from trustees. That includes Naomi Campbell and two others. And essentially, money was being spent in the wrong places. Instead of going to charity, it was being spent on things including luxury hotels and spa treatments. This investigation has found that only a small amount of those funds went to good causes. Between April 2016 to July 2022, only 8.5% of total expenditure was spent on charity grants. And some examples of misconduct in spending identified by the watchdog include a flight that cost £12,300 from London to Nice to transfer art and jewellery to a fundraising event, the decision to spend just under £8,000 of charity funds on a 3-night stay at a 5-star hotel for Campbell, and extra expenses of £6,600 incurred by Campbell alongside the hotel stay on things like spa treatments, room service, cigarettes and other hotel.
In Naomi Campbell's case, where millions of pounds in charity funds went towards supporting her lavish lifestyle, this was described merely as misconduct rather than theft or fraud, and there was no police involvement or her house raided. By contrast, Raj and Deepa, who invested their own money, time and living space to tirelessly support the Sikh community, were convicted of theft. Whilst Naomi is merely banned from operating as a trustee for 5 years. Now, we are going to expose the half-truths and outright lies that were reported, designed to cause maximum defamation to Raj and Deepa. West Midlands Police said Raj had more than 50 personal bank accounts in an attempt to make it as complicated as possible to follow the flow of stolen money. These so-called 50 accounts were misrepresented by the police to demonize Raj and mislead the public. First, many of these accounts dated back as far as the 1970s. Many were old or disused accounts, such as savings accounts, pension pots, dormant business accounts, ESAs, and similar accounts. This portrayal was clearly exaggerated to suggest a complex and deceptive scheme.
So if you're a regular watcher of this channel, you'll know that I have a lot of current accounts. Here are just some of the ones I've got right now. But these ones in particular, they're ones that I've got because I have switched to them. I've switched for some free money. In fact, I've done it more than the cards I've got here in my hand. I've done it in total 17 times. 17 different bank switches for free cash every single time. Let me show you that list. In case you don't believe me, here is a list of all the times I've switched banks.
During the 2000s, Raj was an active participant in a popular online money-saving forum. She created multiple bank accounts to take advantage of promotional offers. It's important to reiterate that Raj lived a frugal lifestyle, demonstrating financial prudence and actively seeking ways to maximize her savings. This approach is not uncommon among those who wish to manage their finances carefully, utilizing opportunities provided by banks and businesses to secure better deals and rewards. Raj's actions should be viewed in this context, reflecting her desire to save money rather than any ulterior motive. Her bank accounts were created well before Sikh Youth UK was even conceived. It is absurd to suggest she would have set up bank accounts 30 years earlier in preparation of a crime. It is undoubtedly unusual to have this many accounts. However, the police took full advantage of using this against her. The police claimed that Raj went to great lengths to cover her tracks. Yet, in their own diagram of the alleged theft, she is shown transferring the money directly into her own account. Does this sound like someone trying to cover their tracks? If she were as manipulative as described, she could have withdrawn the money in cash and claimed it as payment for anything she desired. She could have paid herself or Deepa a cash salary, claimed various expenses, or even charged rent on her property, which was entirely being used as storage for Sikh Youth UK. If Raj's intent was to steal this money, why do we see her using the so-called stolen funds to pay Sikh Youth UK support workers immediately afterwards? The police have made considerable efforts to manipulate the sentiments of Sikh community into believing that their hard-earned donations were misused and that they were somehow wronged. This couldn't be further from the truth. We would like to remind viewers that, since 2013, over £500,000 has been contributed to Sikh Youth UK, the majority coming from the Lee Hall family and core members of Sikh Youth UK, with only about 7% actually from public donations. There has never been a recorded case of charity theft where such a significant portion of funds was donated by the alleged thieves themselves. We also remind viewers that Deepa and Raj were charged with theft in 2019. Since then, they have been restricted from raising any public funds. Nevertheless, from 2019 to the present, Deepa has continued to work tirelessly, day and night, supporting the community, still funded by core supporters to this day. This dedication would indeed be unprecedented for individuals supposedly aiming to steal from a charity they themselves helped create and continue to sustain.
ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ, ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਖਾਲਸੇ ਦੇ ਮੁਰੇ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਆ। ਅੱਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਮੇਰੇ ਪੁੱਤ ਤੇ ਝੂਠੇ ਕੇਸ ਪਾਉਂਦੇ ਸੀ, ਹੁਣ ਮੇਰੀ ਧੀ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਕਚਹਿਰੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਲਿਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ। ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਸਾਥ ਦੇਣੇ, ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਧੀ ਆ, ਮੇਰੀ ਇਕੱਲੀ ਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ। ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਮੋਰੇ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਆ, ਸਭ ਮੇਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਹੱਥ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਸੰਗਤ ਤੇ ਹੋਵੇ। ਸਾਰੀ ਸੰਗਤ ਦੇ ਮੋਰੇ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਇਹੀ ਆ, ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਥ ਦੇਵੋ, ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਸਾਥ ਦੇਵੋ। ਸੱਚਿਆ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ, ਮੈਂ ਆਪ ਗਾਂ ਆ, ਮੇਰਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਆਪ ਅਨੰਦਪੁਰ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵਾਲਾ ਗਾਂ ਆ। ਇਹ ਝੂਠੇ ਕੇਸ ਪਾਏ ਆ। ਮੈਂ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਹੋਗੇ, ਮੈਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਖੜ ਕੇ ਵੀ ਲਟਕਾਰ ਕੇ ਕਹੂੰਗੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਪੁੱਤ ਤੇ ਤਾਂ ਧੀ ਤੇ ਝੂਠੇ ਕੇਸ ਆ। ਅਸੀਂ ਕਦੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰ ਤੇ ਸੇਵਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਕਰੀ ਦੀ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਕਰਾਉਂਦਾ।